Welcome back to another episode of the Boat Babe podcast with your favorite boat babe here, Mary Allison, coming at you from the car. I am driving my Tesla, so it should be kind of quiet, but I'm on 12% charge, which reminds me of how honestly inconvenient an electric car can be. My car actually just told me that I'm too far away from any chargers to make it anywhere, so I decided to wing it because I don't have a choice, and I might as well chat with you while I drive to go charge the car. You know, the one thing that made so much sense to me and gave me a sense of, God, I can't even explain it. Like freedom, I guess, is the first word that comes to mind, is the first realization that I had when I began sailing years ago. This wasn't when I began sailing when I was little. This is when I began teaching sailing at the Santa Barbara Sailing Center out in California. And I realized we can go from point A to point B with just the wind. And no engine, no pollution, no, lithium battery, nothing. And I think ever since then, I have gravitated towards not an electric vehicle, but I had a Prius for a really long time. And people are like, you're not the type to drive a Prius. I'm like, well, hell yeah, I am. I hate going to the gas station. I absolutely hate it. Of course, I've always dreamed of having a Porsche 911 Turbo like my dad wanted. And, we've got a big H1 Hummer 95 that I love. And we are in the process of buying some Jeep Wranglers to ship down island. But I definitely do appreciate Tesla. I absolutely love somebody who can come up with a concept that probably so many people debunked. I can't imagine being Elon Musk. I can't imagine the pushback he got from everywhere, probably through his journey of wanting to create an electric car. I think it's great. I like somebody who doesn't live with the idea that they even have a box. I had a therapist once tell me, because I said something about thinking outside of the box, and she goes, no, there is no box. And I was like, oh, so the concept of the box is our concept. It's not even real. It's kind of like time. It doesn't actually exist. It's just something that somebody makes up just to give our mind some, peace, normalcy, structure, control is probably the main thing. But I do appreciate somebody that doesn't even live with a box in mind and they become a billionaire about, doing what they love. I mean, that's really cool. But the one thing I don't really care about this car is that it is a huge battery. I really don't think this is going to be sustainable in the future. I honestly don't think it's a very good idea. I don't like the cobalt mining that goes over, on the other side of the world, child labor, all that crap really creeps me out. Anyway, that has nothing to do with sailing at all or boating, but those are just my 2 cents. But anyway, I am currently working on my air conditioning hoses, and I had to humble myself and ask for help. I physically could not get these hoses out from under my floor, like I talked about in the last episode last week, and some guys came and they were able to get the hoses out from under the floor and replace my aft air conditioning hose, my middle one, but they cannot get the forward one out. And if they can't get it out, I don't think I can get it out. But what they said was that the hoses are zip tied under the floor. So thanks, Endeavor, 40 years ago, for creating that hassle 40 years later. So I've got to try and get under my floor and cut those zip ties. But I don't know. I honestly wish I was there. I like when anybody works on my boat, I like to be there. I don't like having people work on my boat when I'm not there because, first of all, I make their time a lot easier, and what they're doing easier, because I know exactly what they're trying to do, and I can guide them without them coming to a boat that they don't know anything about, even if they've been there before. So this time I was there this morning, and it was like, okay, cool. Like, yes, this is where this is. This is where that's going. Let's see if we can take this box out if it's hard, like the battery box. I help. I'm like, let me clear the area for you instead of you doing it all, kind of thing. But I had to leave. And so one of the guys called me and said, it's all zip tied under the floor and he can't get it out. And I'm like, shit, I'm not even freaking there while they're there, willing to help with nothing else to do the rest of this freaking day. And I can't, my little arms are not available to get under my floor while they're there. So I'm hoping I can do it myself. I hope, it's like my goal with everything. I try to do everything myself. And so I'm going to try to get under the floor, cut those little zip ties. And then I'm hoping the best case would be that I can pull that hose out, but I'm curious why they zip tied it. It's not like it's gravity. So the hoses that are coming out of my air conditioning condensing pans use gravity to go into the sump box. The water going into the air conditioning units from the pump do not need gravity. So I'm curious why they zip tied those back 40 years ago, and I'm probably going to go on the Endeavor forum and ask. There are a couple people on there that actually manufactured or they worked for Endeavor a long time ago and built the boats and have a lot of insight. So I'll ask. I don't understand why that was even a thing. But they definitely saved themselves a headache by not replacing that forward air conditioning unit 40 years ago. So, you know what? And if it becomes like a really big issue, I won't even hook another AC unit up there. That middle unit could probably cool the entire boat. The Marinair, a 14 BTU unit, could literally cool the whole boat. The one in the back, which is the 11 BTU unit, will cool the whole boat, just with a fan. Like, I don't actually have any, what are they called? Air conditioning, not hoses, but duct work going, forward really far and aft really far from the units. They all kind of do their own section. But even with that, they really cool the boat a whole lot. So I'm kind of thinking, I'm not sure if I'm going to replace it or not, if it's going to be a bear. But I did ask the guys today to remove that forward unit. So I'm going to put it up for sale for free on the Endeavor website because it still works. I'm assuming somebody might need parts. So I'm more than willing to ship it to somebody if they need it. So yeah, that's what's going on right now. I have not finished compounding my paint, which I didn't actually know was a thing, but I guess when you paint a boat, you compound and wax it to make it perfect. And so it's just one more thing to do. So I'm going to finish that, then wax it. The next step is I've got to go to BMG and get Snow White paint. I've got to get the rolling, catalyst. I don't think I need reducer. I'm not sure. I don't exactly remember. I've got to, when you do like these big projects and then you only do them once, maybe a couple times, and then a couple months later, you're like, shit, I don't remember what I'm doing. That's kind of where I'm at. So I'm going to look at the data sheet, see what I need to do, but I wasn't able to paint inside my lockers in the bow, like my chain locker in the bow. So I've got 2 anchors on the front of my Endeavor. One, the chain goes down into the anchor locker in the actual boat. So when you're in the V-berth, you can open up a little tiny baby door and you're like, well, there's all the chain. The other side has, I just got a phone call. I didn't put it on Do Not Disturb, but anyway, I don't edit this podcast, you guys. I'm sorry. It's raw, it's real, it's me. I don't want it to be perfect. I really don't. Like, I kind of get annoyed when podcasts are really perfect because I feel like podcasts are like Etsy. Like, it's kind of nice that it's handmade, coming at you from, somebody's living room or something. I don't like when podcasts are all like super professional and perfect, because I'm not super professional and perfect. So, I don't know. It's just not me. So I hope y'all are okay with that. So anyway, I don't have a clue what the heck I was talking about. That totally made me go spacey. But if I think about it for 2 seconds, I'm going to be able to tell you. Oh shit. Okay. So I have my spade, my 77-pound spade on my starboard side. It's fucking giant. Okay. And I bet people are like, wait, that's not even that big for your boat. No, it is. It's huge. It actually, that one mixed with my mantis that's on my port side, which is a 40-pound, 45-pound, 40-pound mantis, actually way down my bow to the point where like my stern's sticking out of the water a couple inches than it should. And I have a 40-pound mantis on the back, but it's not countering the weight at all. So getting that forward air conditioning unit out might help a little bit, but I think it might weigh, I don't know, 50 pounds. So that might counter it just a little bit. That might help. I'm on my way back to the boat. So I'll go see. Actually, no, I've got to charge my car first. Then I'll be at the boat. But the port side anchor goes into the chain locker in the bow that's enclosed. But then you can put a lot of the chain in an actual chain locker that's on the deck. When I was at Barber, I wasn't able to paint that. It was something that I knew I could do later. It didn't have to be perfect. And I honestly debated on doing it or not, but I do need to do it because it'll look better and it'll drive me insane if I don't finish it. And I've never rolled all Craft 2000. So I'm going to roll and tip all Craft 2000 Snow White. And then when that's finished, I'm going to be able to do my non-skid and it's going to look so good. I get compliments on the boat and I'm sitting there like, I picked this thing apart. I hate that I'm not finished with everything yet, but why would I start a podcast about projects if I actually thought the projects were going to end? So lately we've had our first Gulf tropical storm. I think it became a tropical storm. I don't know. It hit Texas and this storm was freaking gigantic. The wind it wasn't honestly terrible. It was about 25, 30 knots consistent for the last 3 days, but it actually brought really cool air and I was able to open up all the hatches and organize downstairs, but it raised the tide and we've got this full moon right now. So the tide was nuts. The houseboat has 2 springs, extra forward line, and an aft line. It was so high that it broke the bungees holding the boat to the dock. And these aren't like bungees you get at Home Depot. Like these are actual bungees for a boat. A lot of times boats like Mastercraft, Malibus will use them. We got the idea from our friend Bob. We called him Bungee Bob because he had bungees on everything. Or we called him Bob because he stuttered. So Bungee Bob gave us the idea to use bungees. And it was great because you could step on the houseboat no matter what the tide was, and it was close to the dock, so you're not going to fall in. So Bob's bungees broke, and then the water's connected right now. On a boat, you can connect your water hose to your tank, to fill your tank, or you can connect your water to your actual boat, and it just goes straight through your lines. Hooking it up that way sounds really great and convenient, but it's actually one of the most dangerous things to do because it'll sink your boat so fast. Dad did it on Lady J and went downstairs once and realized the entire engine room was full of water almost over the floor into the galley. So if one hose pops off, if a pump breaks, something, you're going to have constant water coming into your boat without you realizing it, unless you have a camera down there, which back in the day we didn't. So that is how the water's hooked up to the houseboat right now because something's going on with the tanks. I'm not exactly sure. I think they're fine. I think it's just a pump issue or something. So it's hooked up like that. And the tide was so high, almost coming over the docks, that it ripped the pipe, the blue pipe, that you hook your water up to. Like if you want to extend like your hose and maybe have it come off a T or a different part of your water line, you can just put that is it blue hex pipe or something, attached to a spigot, connect a hose to it. Well, it ripped that off. So I woke up the other day and I looked outside and I was like, oh, it's raining. God, what a bummer. It's cloudy. We've got, family, friends in town. I'm bummed. And I go to brush my teeth and I'm like, why don't we have any water pressure? And so I go out front and I realize that the hose is barely attached to the dock where that blue pipe is, and it's just dousing my sailboat. So it rained from the dock all on my sailboat, and I realized after about 30 minutes that it wasn't actually raining. It was just from the hose on the dock. So that broke, but thankfully Carl from up at the restaurant came down and fixed it before I even had my first cup of coffee, which was so convenient, so I didn't have to deal with that. But yeah, we had this crazy storm offshore that literally the waves, I guess, from this storm were coming all the way to Alabama, Florida, Mississippi area, and it hit Mexico, Texas area. So a lot of people are talking about El Niños versus whatever the O's, Niñas, I don't know, and how this hurricane season's going to be terrible and all this crap. And I'm just like, I just can't be in that mindset. I have a couple friends who work on boats or they work offshore, and I have asked them, I'm like, please keep me posted on storms. I do the best I can, but sometimes I can only check Mike's weather page so often. And a lot of times these storms will form and I don't know, I forget. It's a day goes by and it's like, bam, there they are, like coming at us. So I've got some friends that are keeping up with the storms if I tend to fall short in my weather. I guess, I don't know, keeping up whatever every day. But this year I've actually got more on my plate than I've ever had with hurricane prep. I've got the houseboat, which is absolutely impossible to maneuver when the wind is over 5 knots. It's going to have to happen. I don't have a choice, but it's just something that thing is not meant for wind. Like, it doesn't even have a draft. So you just skirt across the water. So I've got to haul that out at Barber before the storm even really forms, because once it becomes a tropical storm in the Gulf and is coming our way, the winds pick up so bad, so fast. And the tide rises really, really fast. Like, the water comes up over the dock and it's eerie. It's scary. I don't like it. I do this shit all the time by myself and I hate it. So that boat's got to get hauled out. But my sailboat, I have 2 1-inch lines. I'm pretty sure they're 1 inch. I don't think they're 1.5 inch. That seems pretty big. 1 inch. No, I think they are 1.5 inch. 150-foot lines. So I've got 300 feet. And I tie my stern to the trees behind my slip. But the shitty thing is that my car is telling me to take control of the freaking wheel. Like, what do you think I'm doing? I'm not even on auto drive. The gorgeous woods behind us. It's like paradise back there. We used to call it the magical woods. They are now developed in a nice way. I mean, the houses are $2 million, $3 million houses. Their docks are $50,000, probably more than that, like $75,000 docks. They're gorgeous, but I have a very small space to tie to the trees now, and I anchor out. I put my bow in the middle of the bayou and I tie my stern to trees. But now that there's so many docks, it's almost impossible to find a spot. So I basically have to be first to anchor, and I cannot do it with any wind. So it's like, it's kind of a headache to have to think, okay, I have to prep these 2 boats when the storm may or may not even come to us. And I also am prepping 2 houses. One's for sale, one's rented out. 2 are family houses, so that's 4 houses total. And how many cars? Because during Sally, we all flooded. So, okay, let me count the cars. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I think 6 or 7 cars. It's just stupid. I mean, it's just too much. It's too much to do on my own. It's just a lot. So I am a little hesitant about hurricane season this year. If any of y'all know anything about the storms approaching the panhandle of Florida before I do, I would appreciate it if you would message me on Instagram and have emojis to alert me. Like, there's a storm coming your way. Have you seen it yet? So go follow me at That Boat Babe on Instagram. And I check my messages as often as I can because sometimes somebody knows something more than I do. But I do love Mike's weather page. He's somebody I follow on Facebook and on Instagram. And I feel like every sailor does. Every boater does. He's wonderful. I feel like his weather is the most accurate. So he's obviously like my number one source. But sometimes just looking at, I have the Weather Channel app on my phone. That one is actually fine too because you can watch the radar. And a lot of times if you are looking to see if a storm is coming your way and you watch the radar and you listen to what other people are saying, it sometimes doesn't add up. So with Hurricane Sally, everybody was saying it was going to go towards, I think, Mobile. It didn't. It came right towards us, and I knew it was going to come right towards us because I watched the radar and I said it's coming towards us, but they're saying it's not. But I knew it was not going to shift towards Mobile. And so that was a huge help, just having your basic radar to give you a heads up. So hopefully we will have the most calm storm season ever. Hopefully the heat index is not going to be as insane as it could be. The waters are just going to stay cool. We're not even going to have any jellyfish. It's going to be wonderful. Minus the shark attacks that are going on in Panama City and Destin. What is going on? But also, I just want to remind everybody, sharks close their eyes. Like, they have that thing that goes over their eyes when they open their mouth. So it's not the shark's fault, okay? They don't even know what you are. So use your brain. Stay out of the water. Buy a drone. Check your area for sharks before you go swimming. No, not really. That would be pretty great. But anyway, I'm going to go charge my car. I'm at 7%. It's letting me know still that all known charging locations are out of range soon. And then I'm going to head back to the boat and take one of the other cars. See, it's not really practical. As great as these cars are, it's just not practical. But I hope y'all have a wonderful rest of your day. I love you so much. Message me on Instagram. Go ahead and follow me. I am always trying to keep you posted about my life and the stories. And I hope you'll have a great day. I'll talk to y'all next week. Okay, bye.